Today, we're going to be changing the entire look of the RAV4 for about $100, and I'll show you exactly how I do it. Stick around. Now that you've seen the results of hyperdipping the wheels, let me show you how I got there. I've used HyperDip before on my 4Runner and it's lasted for over 3 years and it held up extremely well, so there's a reason why I'm using it again. I'll explain what the products are, how I use them, and why. This wheel is already thoroughly washed and thoroughly dried. So the first step we're going to be taking what they call dip release. Dip release is going to be applied on the outside of the tire. So when you spray the product on, it's not going to stick to the outside of the tire. Now that the dip release is on, I'm going to put a bag behind the wheel to protect the brakes, the rotor, and the caliper. Now this all comes with the kit. I'm just going to open this up so we have a little more to work with. Now that we have the brakes protected and the dip release on the tire, we're going to use a pre-dip spray, and I'm going to use that to clean the wheel. Invariably, when you put the dip release on, you're going to get it on the edge of the rim. So you want to make sure that that HyperDip sticks, because if it's going to peel, it's most likely going to peel on the edges. So make sure you get the edge of that rim completely clean with the pre-dip spray. And now we're just going to clean the whole wheel. The kit will also come with alcohol wipes. So just as a final prep, we're going to do alcohol wipe after the pre-dip spray. Now we're going to be applying the actual peelable paint, or the HyperDip. So make sure the can is thoroughly shaken. I have shaken it for a few minutes beforehand. And we're going to be applying 4 tack coats or 4 dust coats to the wheels first. Before we start doing heavy coats, we're just doing dust coats. Let me show you how that looks. The first dust coat is done. I'm going to be doing this 3 more times. 4 dust coats total. Then we're going to go 4 to 6 wet coats. So let's bust through the dust coats now, and I'll show you what the wet coats look like. Also, another tip. Every once in a while, you might get a little bit of a splatter, and you'll see a heavy spot on the wheel. What I do is I carry around the little rag in my pocket, and after one wheel is done, I give the tip of the spray can just a little bit of a wipe. And also make sure your fingers, if you're wearing gloves especially, are not overhanging the nozzle here, or else it can hit it and it could cause splatter as well. So keep your fingertip back, keep a little rag, and keep wiping that nozzle. I have 4 tack coats or dust coats on all the wheels now. I'm actually doing the spare as well outside. And we're ready to start doing the wet coats. Now we're going to try to get between 4 and 6 wet coats. We have 5 cans that were included with the kit, and we're going to use all the cans. Even though you're going to see maybe after the 3rd or 4th coat that it's completely covered and you still have more cans, use the cans. The reason is you need to get enough thickness on the material, so number 1 for protection, and number 2 for durability, and thirdly, when you're ready to peel it off, it's thick enough where it can peel off in sheets and not in little pieces. So let's go ahead and apply the wet coats. There's going to be 50% overlap on the wet coats, and I'm going to work in sections. I'm now 6 wet coats in. I am going to do one more coat. I'm going to do a 7th coat. I think this is actually good. However, I'm only on the 4th can, and the kit came with 5 cans, so I am going to do a 7th coat. One thing that I had to do is halfway through the second can is I busted out this little attachment for the cans. I noticed, maybe it's because of my age, I've been working with my hands my whole life, but when I was spraying with my fingers, I had good control, but my thumb and my finger were cramping up, so I was switching between thumb and pointer finger, and I was becoming inconsistent. So I popped this guy back on, and I've been spraying with it since. So it's great if you have any kind of strength issue with your fingers or your hands in general. But anyway, let's go ahead and do the 7th coat, and that'll be the last one. It's going to go on wet. It looks great right now, but let's go ahead and do the 7th coat. One other thing I wanted to mention before I put this coat on is if you have a wheel that has a lot of patterns and it's sitting low to the ground, you might have a problem getting color underneath, like in these areas right here, up there. I just get my head down and I had no problem doing it. So that's something to consider. If you have that issue, put the vehicle in neutral, roll it back 180 degrees, and then you'll be able to get those angles from the top. I think I'm getting pretty good coverage the way it is right now, so I am not going to do that, but let's go ahead and spray that coat. Wheels are done. It's been about 40 minutes, so now is a good time where I can take out the plastic. You still need to be very careful because it's not fully cured. So you just take it out and make sure you're not rubbing against what you just painted. Now I'll show you what that dip release does. I'm using just a little plastic trim tool just to get it started here. This is the reason why you kind of want to make it thick around on the tire too, so you'll spray past the wheel. This way you have something to pull on. This is what the HyperDip looks like. It's just this stretchy kind of rubber material. There's going to be some areas on the outside that are thinner. You're just going to take a microfiber towel and just kind of rub it, and they'll just roll right off. Let's get this out of the garage and into the sun, and we'll take a closer look. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, guys. I am extremely happy with the way this came out. One thing to keep in mind is that these wheels are certainly not new. They are the original wheels from 2011, and they did have some imperfections, chips, and a little bit of curb rash. But the HyperDip did a pretty darn good job of covering some of the imperfections up. Overall, it looks wonderful, and as a matter of fact, I like the way it looks so much. In the next video, I'm going to dip the entire car. So stick around for that, and I'll see you in the next one.